and happy. Hippie, yeah. Hippie, yeah.
What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Whacked Out ECIG. Today we're looking at a very cool little RTA called the Goblin Mini by UD. So what we're going to do is go down up close, we're going to do a quick unboxing of what comes with it, and then we're going to do a nickel coil build tutorial in this, a dual coil nickel build, and then we're going to come back up and talk about how it vapes, so let's go. Okay, so this is the box that your Goblin Mini comes in. Open it up and you get a kind of a user manual, just shows you what's inside of it. You get your Goblin Mini. There you get a spare glass drip tip. You get a spare glass to replace if you break it. And it comes with, spare O-rings, spare screws. Also, this little O-ring there is for the screw at the bottom where you fill. So I thought that was pretty cool that it came with one of them. It also comes with this, which is a single coil adapter thing. So the deck in this is made for dual coils, but if you put this into one of the airflow holes, you can build a single coil and it will work fine. Finally, you get a drip tip adapter because these drip tips, they fit into here very nicely, and it's kind of reverse fit, so you can switch it around, but you can't put a regular drip tip in there without this adapter. So this is what I can do. I can pop in this drip tip adapter, pop in my own drip tip, and get a really nice looking tank. Not to say that the glass doesn't look amazing, I really think it does, but I like that setup as well. So just looking around the outside of the tank, you get your UD graphics and Goblin graphics there. At the bottom, you get what seems to be a stainless steel or silver plated, something of those sorts, 510 pin, and it is adjustable, which is nice. The airflow control is very interesting on this, so you can see it says min there and max there, so you can, right now it's maximum open, and all you have to do is slide it across to open it. Finally, this is your screw fill hole, and it does not come with a screwdriver in this box, so you have to have your own. I thought that was really bad because I don't really have that many very small flathead screwdrivers, but either way, it has an O-ring on the screw as well, and that kind of stops it from leaking out that juice hole, which used to happen on the original Goblin because there was no O-ring. So showed you before, this is your drip tip, slides in and out. To unscrew it, at first it was very difficult, and it actually cut up my finger pretty bad, because when you're pulling this across, it's easier to push the airflow that way, so you can kind of grip on it. It sticks out a bit, but that just, at first it's very tight, and that just cut up my finger. So out comes your deck and your glass, which is just press fit by O-rings on the top and O-rings on the bottom. And this just comes off like that as well. So this is your deck. You can take off the chimney here, and here's your deck. So you get massive juice channels. I'll point them out here. Just massive juice channels there all around. Very decent airflow up here. You can see it's closed off now, and if I open it up, that's what it looks like when it's wide open. And actually, I hate bottom airflow drippers because I always leak if it always leaks on me if I have it like this, but for some reason in this tank it has not leaked on me. I guess it's all in the wicking. So yeah, decent size post holes as well. You can get some okay size wire in there, and screws which tighten down these wires very well, but occasionally have cut my wire, so that's something to look out for. So just popping this back on here, the top of the chimney screws in like that, but you need to put on your glass first, hold it in place because it's just press fit, there's nothing else holding it on, and once you screw this in, it'll get a better grip on that glass, and you're ready to rumble. So let me take this apart, put together all my stuff that I need to build, and show you a nickel coil in this. Okay, so to perform this specific build that I'll be doing, you need some 28 gauge nickel wire, and I got this one from Cold Turkey a while ago. Wire cutters, I'm using a 2.5mm rod. You can use a drill bit, screwdriver, whatever you want to wrap the coils around. You need a screwdriver, Phillips head preferably, cotton, I use Koga cotton, and a scissors, and of course your Goblin Mini. We're going to need to cut off maybe about 10 inches of this 28 gauge nickel wire. You could do more, but I think this should be okay. I just kind of do like that, straighten it out a bit. I'm going to be using my coil jig for this, so I need to place my rod in, tighten it up. Oh, I need to cut my wire in two. So what I do is I put it in a circle like this, get it kind of like that, just so I know where halfway is, and then I can cut it. Sorry, this wire is very small because it's 28 gauge, so it might be a little difficult to see. Okay, so I'm gonna trap my wire with this screw, and I'm going to do 12 wraps on this rod. Okay, so that was done very, very badly. I'm sorry I couldn't do that better on camera. But you want to do it spaced, and then I just bunch it all together so that when it lets go, yeah, so you want it kind of evenly spaced as possible, and both leads going in the same direction. So that's 12 wraps on one coil. We're going to do the same on this one. I'll see if I can do this a little bit better. Sorry if it goes off camera. Remember, you want them spaced. And I've run out of wire on this side because I didn't pull enough, but what I can do is put this the other way around and just keep wrapping. Okay, so bunch it up. You want it nice and spaced, both coils in the same direction, and now you have two nickel coils. They're not the best, but they will do. You can see it's very slightly spaced, but very slightly is good enough. So I'm just gonna take off my deck, take off the chimney. I'm gonna place it on a mod, because that makes it a lot easier if you have a base to build your coils on. But make sure that the mod is off, just in case. Okay, for this you're going to need your screwdriver. And as you can see, the holes are fully open. So we'll take one coil now and put it through the holes. What I do is I like to put it as close to the post as possible, but not right up against it. You don't want it touching it, because when you tighten the wires, it's going to pull it a bit. And with nickel, you can see the wire behind going up a bit. You want it just till you get some resistance, and then boop, one more. Then on the other side, the same thing. Get some resistance, one more. So once my coil is just about there, you can see it's not over the airflow at all. And this is one of the most hard parts, because you're lifting it and putting it over, but it's so delicate because it's nickel that it bunches together and kind of becomes a contact coil, which is not really the best, but you can strum it and do stuff like that to split it up a bit. but I find that this has been working. And there's different tricks you can do, like taking both your thumbs, pulling them apart a bit so that it spaces it. And the reason you want it spaced is just so that the heat goes through it evenly. Okay, so now the second coil we'll try and put through. It goes over. Okay, so the second coil is through. I'll hold it in place. Take the screwdriver and tighten. Now these should be holding tight enough to pull off. One down, two down. And as you can see, that one is not over the airflow either. So we'll take our screwdriver again. Get it bunched up like that, take our thumbs and just pull it apart a bit. And that could look a lot better, but for the purpose of this review, just try and be a bit careful, I guess. Okay, so we have our coils installed. It's reading 0.07, which is perfect. 430 degrees is what I like vaping it at, and I'll just bump that up to 30 watts, which I like it. Next up, we're going to need our cotton. Okay, so I just have been eyeballing the cotton, how much I've been needing to use. And you don't really need that much. So this is just a very small strand. You can pull off one of the layers, that tends to make it slightly easier. Now you have more fluffy cotton to deal with, which is better for wicking and easier to use, easier on the coils and everything. So we're going to cut this in half now, just about there. Going to twist up one end, and you've seen this all before. We're just going to place the cotton in the coils. Okay, so as far as cutting the cotton, I just hold one end so it doesn't move and cut it diagonally as close to the deck as I can get it. And that has been working just about fine for me. You're not going to have to worry about having too much cotton with a nickel coil because you're not going to get a dry hit. Okay, and on this I'm going to use the 12 Monkeys orangs. I'm just gonna wet it up, make it easier to move around and get where I want it to be. Okay, then I'll take my screwdriver, and this is probably going to be the trickiest part to get on camera, but I like to brush like half of it up and against the coil so that the entire coil is blocked, and then just a little bit in the deck. So what I like to do is bunch it up against the coil, just to make sure that it's not going to get any dry hits. You know, the coil is not going to get dry. There's always going to be cotton feeding directly to that coil. I mean, you don't have to worry about dry hits with nickel, but at the same time, you want it to vape as well as possible. So may as well have it wick as good as you can. So that looks really messy, but I shit you not, this vape's amazing. So let's just see that it's firing. And it is, so I'll take my cap and put it on. You can see the cotton kind of sticking up there, and that's exactly what you want. You want it to look kind of like horns, because you know that half of it is going to be sticking up against the coil and the other half is going to be on the deck and touching the juice channel. So now I'll take the glass and press fit it on, hold it in place, and screw the top cap on. And that's just right. You don't wanna screw it on too tight, cut up your fingers like I did. But we'll take off that drip tip as well, and I'm gonna be vaping it with my own because I think that looks pretty amazing. So I'll take this off and show you what I do to fill this. Okay, so to fill this, I shut off the airflow completely just in case liquid doesn't go directly into the hole, because it's a very small hole and I don't want it going in there. So I'll take a flathead screwdriver, and I have to say this, although I don't mind it that much, this is a con, having to unscrew. So you can see the little O-ring there. Okay, so I just dropped everything. I hope nothing's missing now, but you would expect that these droppers wouldn't be able to fit in this bottle, but the 12 Monkeys ones happen to fit in just right. And you don't want to hesitate putting the liquid in. You want to just be confident that you've lined it up correctly and just squeeze. Get it right into there. So it is a very small tank. I mean, 3 milliliters might not sound like a lot, but if you consider that the Atlantis V2, the Aspire Triton, all them are only 3.5, I'd say it's pretty good for the size. So we have it all filled up just about. All we have to do is open up the airflow. You can see our coils in there. You can see some bubbles coming up. We shall put it on a mod. And you can see this drip tip adapter doesn't fit perfectly, but it's okay. And it's vaping. Let's go back up and talk about it. I'm not sure if you could tell by that close up and the coil build, but this is relatively easy to build a nickel coil in here, and as far as temp control vapes, this is the best one that I've ever had. So this is at 35 watts at 430 degrees, and it's a 0.07 coil like you saw on the up close, but I'm getting a warm, flavorful vape that I've never got before from temp control with any kind of dripper or anything, and I'm not exactly sure what about it makes it so good, but I just think the design is done so well. And the original Goblin, the flavor was phenomenal, but the wicking was really tough to get it right. With this one, the wicking is so simple, at least it has been to me, and I haven't got any leaking out of it. I can try and bump this up. I'll put this up to 40 watts and see how it does. Even better. I mean, the flavor is just phenomenal for what it is, you know. So this holds about 3 mils of liquid, and if you compare it to, let's say, the Aspire Triton tank, okay, this holds 3.5 milliliters of liquid. Look at the size difference. It makes the Triton look like a giant, and it holds 0.5 mil less. So yes, you do have to fill it up more frequently, but I find with temp control I don't have to fill it up that frequently. But the only thing is that if this is the only thing you're vaping all day and you're chain vaping it, you do have to get a screwdriver every single time and unscrew it and then fill it up. But at least the liquid doesn't come out of the screw hole, you know, the screw fill hole, because that was a problem that I had on the original Goblin. But now they've added that O-ring around the screw, and they've solved that. So yeah, I think it looks fantastic, especially with your own drip tip on there. I think I'm gonna see when the people who make this drip tip, okay, the Otis Designs, I asked them, and they're making stabilized wood battery doors for this Sigeli 75, and together this is gonna look sweet. But looking at it up close, the airflow comes in from the bottom, so they had to cut out the bottoms, and at first that really bugged me, and it still kind of bugs me, but I understand why it has to be like that. I find it looks the best on a iStick 50 watt. If you have an iStick 50 watt and you pop this on top, it's just the smallest, stealthiest vape. You can't do temp control with it, but it looks fantastic. And my build for regular Canthal is exactly the same. I just use 26 gauge instead of 28 with Canthal instead of nickel. And it vapes basically the exact same way, but because with temp control I'll never get a dry hit, I prefer to build this with nickel. The idea of putting the airflow control at the bottom there, I think, was so that you could take your finger or something and move that across and adjust it while it's on the tank. But I can't really do it. I mean, I can get a screwdriver or something small and push it across, but it's not very practical. And on something like the Anakin Disruptor, it has that separation there, and it does not adjust. So that's a con, but I mean, the pros make up for all the cons in this. There aren't many cons, but the pros, you know, the flavor is good, the vapor is great, the airflow is just a perfect draw. It's not as airy as the original Goblin, but it's perfect for me. I like that it came with all the spare stuff. It came with spare glass, which is awesome, spare screws. It came with a mini O-ring so that if you lose the screw in the bottom fill hole, you can replace it. Comes with O-rings for the glass, and yeah, it comes with everything you need to. It's a small little tank, and I paid $40 Canadian for this, so a really great price. Sorry if the noise from the AC is bothering you, it just came on. But yeah, I picked this up at Ace Vapor at the booth in VapeCan. I'm not exactly sure how much it's going to cost online on their regular store, but it should be around the same price. And I've never bought anything else from there before, so I can't really tell you what my experiences were like with their online shop or going into their store, but I've heard good things, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. So that's about it for the Goblin Mini. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for probably my next video, which is going to be the 500 subscriber giveaway, and it's going to be pretty awesome, I think. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon.